My precious one, come and sit with me. I want to speak to you about your true design. You have spent a lifetime trying to become something, to fill yourself with achievement, with knowledge, with relationships, with identity, with spiritual experiences. You have believed that fullness is the goal. But today, I invite you into a holy paradox. The first and most sacred step to becoming a vessel of my life is not to attain fullness, but to embrace emptiness. Look at the tools I have created. A cup's value is not in the clay, but in its hollow space. A flute's music comes not from the solid wood, but from the column of air within. A riverbed's purpose is defined by its depth and course, not by the stone of its banks. You, my beloved, are a vessel. Your deepest purpose is not to be a monument, but a conduit. And a conduit must, by its very nature, be empty of itself to be filled with something else. This terrifies the ego. The self screams, "If I am empty, then I am nothing. I must be full of my own personality, my own accomplishments, my own opinions to have worth." This is the great lie of the self-container. It is a life spent polishing the exterior of the cup, while the interior is crammed with the stale water of old triumphs, bitter disappointments, and fragile self-image. This cup may look impressive on the shelf, but it cannot receive fresh, living water. It is already full. The sacred emptiness I speak of is not a vacuum of despair. It is not the emptiness of nihilism or worthlessness. It is the emptiness of readiness. It is the open hands of a child expecting a gift. It is the quiet field after harvest, resting before the next sowing. It is the deep breath before the song. It is the profound, courageous making of space for something, for someone, infinitely greater than you. This is the kenosis, the self-emptying, that was modeled for you. My son did not cling to his rightful fullness, but emptied himself, taking the form of a servant. He made himself a perfect vessel for my will and your salvation. He surrendered the self-container of divine prerogative to become the conduit of grace. And in that emptying, he became the most filled, the most potent, the most life-giving being to ever walk the earth. Your journey begins here, with a prayer of surrender that feels like a death. Lord, I lay down my need to be self-made, self-sufficient, and self-defined. I empty myself of my plans, my protections, my pride. I confess I have been a container for my own ego. Today, I choose to become a vessel for you. Create in me a clean, empty space. This emptying is a daily practice. Each morning, you must turn your cup upside down. Shake out the anxieties that settled overnight. Pour out the old grievances, the rehearsed conversations, the desires for control. You present me not with a list of requests, but with a cleansed capacity. You say, "Here I am, empty, available, yours." Do not fear this emptiness. In it, you will find a freedom you have never known. The exhausting labor of maintaining your self-fullness ceases. The pressure to generate your own life force diminishes. When you are empty of you, there is room for me. And when I fill you, it is not with a commodity, but with my presence, my life, my peace, my creative power, my love. You will know you are moving into this sacred emptiness when your prayers shift from, "Lord, bless what I am doing," to, "Lord, let me participate in what you are doing." When your identity becomes less about who I am and more about whose I am. When your greatest satisfaction comes not from being recognized as full, but from being used as a channel. Today, my child, examine your inner space. What have you used to fill it? Is it crammed with the noise of others' opinions? Packed tight with the refuse of past failures? Cluttered with the ornaments of your own reputation? Gently, with my help, begin to clear it. Not with violence, but with surrender. Offer each item to me. I release my need for this. I empty myself of that. This is the foundation a vessel cleansed and available. This sacred emptiness is not your end, it is your magnificent beginning, for it is only the empty vessel that can truly sing of the water that fills it. It is only the hollow flute that can carry the breath that makes the music. Be empty, my beloved. Be beautifully, courageously, sacredly empty. For in that space I am waiting to flow. My beloved, now that you have begun to embrace the sacred emptiness, let me teach you about the flow that is meant to fill you. For not every stream that promises refreshment can quench the eternal thirst of your soul. Not every current that pulls at you carries the power of true life. You must learn to distinguish between the water that is of you, sourced from your own shallow wells, and the living water that flows from my eternal throne. This discernment is the difference between a life of striving and a life of supernatural abundance. You have known the taste of your own water. It is the water of your own strength. You dig deep within yourself, mustering willpower, determination, and resilience. For a time, it sustains you. It helps you meet deadlines, overcome obstacles, and present a strong face to the world. But this water is finite. It runs dry. It leaves you exhausted, parched, and digging frantically for more in a well that is running empty. This is the water of the flesh, and it always leads to thirst. You have also sipped the water of external validation, the applause of others, the achievement of goals, the accumulation of possessions or status. It tastes sweet for a moment. It gives a rush of energy, a feeling of being filled. But it is fickle and ephemeral. Its sweetness quickly turns brackish, leaving you craving the next hit, the next accomplishment, the next like or compliment. This water does not nourish. It addicts. It keeps you running to broken cisterns that can hold no water. Then there is the murky water of past pain and old narratives. You return to this well again and again, drinking the bitter stories of who you were, what was done to you, and what you cannot be. This water poisons your system. It reinforces walls, fuels resentment, and keeps you locked in cycles of defeat. It is a stagnant pool, and drinking from it ensures you remain stagnant too. But today, I invite you to a different source. I offer you living water. What is this living water? It is not a commodity. It is not a spiritual asset you can own. It is the very reality of my indwelling presence, the Holy Spirit, flowing as a current of divine life, love, power, and purpose through your surrendered being. Jesus said, "Whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within them." He spoke of the Spirit. This flow is self-replenishing. It springs up from within, an artesian well of eternity that never runs dry. Life-giving. It carries healing, cleansing, renewal, and resurrection power wherever it goes. Purpose-directed. It flows with intentionality, seeking the lowest places, the driest hearts, the most impossible situations to bring life. Character transforming. As it flows through you, it reshapes you from the inside out, smoothing rough edges and carving out greater capacity for grace. This living water does not eliminate your personality, it sanctifies it. It does not bypass your mind or will, it enlightens and empowers them. Your own water says, "I must make this happen." The living water says, "Tune to the current and let it carry you." Your own water is about control. My living water is about surrender to a flow that you do not initiate, but can choose to cooperate with. How do you recognize this flow? It has a certain qualities. When you are moving in it, you will find a sense of peace that surpasses understanding, even in turbulence. You will have wisdom that surprises you, arriving at just the right moment. You will feel a deep alignment, even when the path is hard, because you know you are in the center of my will. There will be joy, not always happiness, but a profound undercurrent of joy, because you are connected to the source of all joy. The fruit of this flow is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. These are not your achievements. They are the signature of the flow moving through you. Conversely, when you are relying on your own water, you will notice different signs: anxiety, striving, fatigue, resentment when efforts go unnoticed, a brittle strength that shatters under pressure, and a deep, unshakable thirst for something more. So, my child, the great question of your life becomes, from which source am I drinking today? From which spring am I drawing my identity, my energy, my direction? The shift begins with a simple daily acknowledgement. Lord, my own wells are dry. My strength is not enough. I turn from the broken cisterns of my own making and the world's offerings. Today, I thirst for you alone. Let me drink from your river, which delights the city of God. Then, you position yourself to receive. You become still. You open the scriptures, not just for information, but for hydration. You pray, not just with a list, but with a cup. You worship, not as performance, but as a tilting of your soul toward the waterfall of my grace. You wait. You listen. You let the living words, the gentle prompts, the quiet assurances seep into the deepest cracks of your inner being, and as you drink, something miraculous happens. The living water begins to displace the old, stagnant water within you. It flushes out the toxins of fear and bitterness. It fills the hollow places with love, and then it starts to overflow. You cannot contain it. It will flow out in compassion you didn't muster, in wisdom you didn't study, in strength you don't possess, in love that is clearly not your own. You are the vessel. This is the flow. Your life is no longer about storing up, but about letting it pour through. Today, stop digging your own well. Come to the river that never runs dry. Drink deeply, and then let the flow begin. My precious one, you have embraced the emptiness and glimpsed the nature of the living water. But now we must address a tender, often painful truth. Between the emptiness of your vessel and the fullness of my flow, there can exist blockages. These are the spiritual, emotional, and mental constrictions that narrow the passage of grace within you. They are the dams in the riverbed of your soul. To be a clean conduit, these blockages must be identified and, with my healing touch, removed. This is not a punishment. It is the sacred cleansing process of a vessel being prepared for noble use. Imagine a beautiful ancient clay pipe designed to bring fresh water from a spring to a village. Over time, minerals from the water itself, silt from storms, and even roots from nearby trees can crust and accumulate on the inner walls. The pipe remains intact on the outside. It still looks like a pipe, but the flow within becomes a trickle. It cannot fulfill its purpose, so it must be taken down, gently tapped, and flushed with a pressure greater than its own. This is my work in you. What are these blockages? Let me name them gently, so you can recognize them without shame. First, the sediment of unhealed hurt and old resentment. Every pain you have buried instead of grieving, every injustice you have replayed instead of releasing, every "I will never forgive you" have sworn. These are not just memories. They are spiritual substances. They settle in the chambers of your heart, harden into bitterness, and reduce the inner space where love is meant to flow freely. This blockage manifests as cynicism, quickness to take offense, and a protective hardness that keeps even my love at a cautious distance. Second, the calcified deposits of fear and unbelief. Fear is not just a feeling. It is a faith in reverse. It is believing in the power of a negative outcome more than you believe in my goodness and sovereignty. Each time you choose anxiety over trust, you add another layer of crust to the inner walls. Unbelief says, the pipe is dry, the spring has stopped. It constricts your capacity to receive because you are bracing for drought instead of opening for a flood. This blockage manifests as worry, control, and a reluctance to step out in faith. Third, the tangled roots of sinful habits and patterns. These are the choices, conscious or habitual, that contradict my nature and my word. They are like invasive roots that have grown into your pipeline, seeking their own sustenance. They distort the vessel's shape from within. Guilt and shame often cluster around this blockage, but remember, I am not describing this to condemn you, but to diagnose for the sake of healing. Sin blocks the flow because it chooses a direction contrary to the current of my spirit. Fourth, the choking debris of self-will and stubborn identity. This is the subtle, often well-meaning blockage of insisting, I must do this my way. This is just who I am. It is the clay of the vessel declaring to the potter, I prefer this shape, even if it cannot carry water effectively. It is the desire for control, the idolatry of your own plan, and the clinging to an identity that is built on your achievements or wounds, rather than my beloved child. This debris says I, where the conduit should say he. The process of cleansing is my work, but it requires your consent and cooperation. It is a partnership of grace. First, bring the blockage into the light of my presence. This is the courage of honest prayer. Lord, I feel a constriction here. When I try to forgive, I hit a wall of resentment. When I try to trust, I feel a knot of fear. I invite you to show me what is blocking the flow within me. Shine the lantern of my spirit into the inner corridors. Simply acknowledging the blockage begins to loosen its power, for darkness cannot withstand the light of truth spoken in humility. Second, receive the gentle, specific conviction of my spirit. I will not overwhelm you with a list of all your faults. I am a master surgeon, not a demolition crew. I will highlight one thing at a time, a specific resentment to release, a particular fear to surrender, a habit to turn from. My conviction is not a voice of accusation. It is the tender, precise touch of a physician pointing to the source of the illness so it can be healed. It feels like a loving wound, painful for a moment but leading to life. Third, apply the cleansing agent of repentance and release. Repentance is not groveling. It is a change of direction. It is turning your inner face from the blockage toward me. It is saying, I release this hurt into your hands. I renounce this agreement with fear. I turn away from this pattern. I surrender this part of my will. This is the flush of living water itself, at high pressure, scouring the walls of your soul. Tears may flow. This is part of the cleansing. Holy water from your own eyes, softening the crusted places. Fourth, allow for the time of soaking and softening. Some blockages have been there for years. They will not vanish in an instant. This is where you practice patient abiding. You soak in my word, in worship, in quiet presence. You let the gentle, persistent flow of my love soften the hardest places. You don't force it. You just remain in the stream, trusting that my water is working even when you see no immediate change. My beloved, this process is the proof of my care for you. I am not content to let you be a beautiful yet impotent vessel. I am committed to your maximum throughput of grace. I want my life to flow through you with volume and force, to bless a parched world. Do not be afraid of this cleansing. Yes, it can be uncomfortable. It requires vulnerability, but it is the path to true freedom and power. A clean pipe does not regret the removal of the blockage. It rejoices in the roar of the water it was always meant to carry. Today, present your inner conduits to me. Say, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Trust my skillful, loving hands. I will be gentle, and I will make you clean. My beloved child, we have spoken of emptiness, of the living water, and of clearing the blockages. Now, let us turn to the most practical and yet most mystical aspect of being a vessel, your posture. How do you position yourself to receive the flow? A vessel cannot fill itself. It must be placed under the stream. It must be tilted, open, and still. This is the art of reception, the cultivated stance of a heart that knows its source and remains in constant humble connection to it. Imagine two vessels. One is upright, sturdy and proud. It stands on its own base, declaring its independence. The other is a leaning vessel. It is designed to rest against something greater than itself. Its center of gravity is outside itself. It cannot stand alone. It is made to be supported, to be held, to be poured into by an external source. This, my precious one, is the posture I call you to, the leaning vessel. Your strength is not in your own stability, but in your total dependence on mine. The world teaches you to stand tall, to be self-reliant, to build your own foundation. But my kingdom operates on a different principle. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Poverty of spirit is this leaning posture. It is the daily, conscious acknowledgement. I have nothing in myself. I am entirely reliant on you for every breath, every thought, every ounce of love I will need today. This is not weakness. It is the highest wisdom. It is aligning with the fundamental truth of your existence. You are a created being, designed to be continuously filled by your Creator. So, how do you adopt this posture? It is nurtured through 4 intentional attitudes. First, the attitude of humility, the bow of the heart. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less and thinking of me more. It is the bowing of your inner being, your will, your plans, your intellect, before my sovereignty and goodness. It is the constant inner whisper, not my will, but yours. This bow creates a low place, a valley in your spirit, where the waters of my grace naturally gather. Pride elevates and isolates, humility lowers and connects. When you humble yourself under my mighty hand, you position yourself perfectly for me to lift you up and fill you in due time. Second, the attitude of stillness, the quiet of the soul. The leaning vessel is not frantic. It does not chase the stream. It rests where the stream flows. Be still and know that I am God. Your modern world is a cacophony of distraction, a whirlwind of activity that pulls you into the illusion that doing is synonymous with being. But I call you to holy stillness. This is the quieting of your mental chatter, the ceasing of your striving, the intentional halting of your inner debate. It is in stillness that you become aware of the gentle, constant pressure of my spirit, like water against the inner walls of your being. It is in stillness that you hear the direction of the flow. You cannot fill a vessel that is constantly jumping and splashing. You can only fill one that is calm and settled. Practice stillness. Let your soul come to rest in me. Third, the attitude of dependency, the open hand. Dependency is the lived reality of the leaning vessel. It is the moment-by-moment choice to not default to your own resource. When a challenge arises, the leaning vessel's first instinct is not to strategize, but to surrender. It is to lift an open hand and an open heart and say, Lord, I need you. I don't know what to do, but my eyes are on you. This is the opposite of the clenched fist of control. It is the vulnerability of a child. It is saying, I am holding my own emptiness up to your fullness. Please, fill me with what is needed for this moment. This attitude keeps the conduit open, preventing the rust of self-sufficiency from sealing it shut. Fourth, the attitude of intentional connection, the abiding branch. Jesus said, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. The leaning vessel is the branch that knows it is attached to the vine. Abiding is the conscious, willful act of staying connected. It is not a one-time prayer. It is a continuous orientation of your spirit toward mine. It is dialoguing with me throughout your day. It is turning your heart toward me in gratitude, in confusion, in joy, in weariness. It is praying without ceasing. This intentional connection is the hose that stays attached to the faucet. If you disconnect, the flow stops, no matter how empty or well-positioned the vessel may be. You must abide. This posture of reception, humility, stillness, dependency, abiding, is a learned posture. You will forget and straighten up. You will try to stand on your own. The winds of circumstance will knock you over. But my grace is that you can always lean back. Every moment is a new opportunity to assume the posture. It begins with a sigh. Jesus, I lean on you right now. As you practice this leaning, you will discover a miraculous truth. The leaning vessel is the most stable vessel of all. Its stability is not in its own base, but in the unwavering strength of what it leans upon. You are leaning on the rock of ages. You are abiding in the eternal vine. You are held by hands that never tire. In your weakness, my strength is made perfect. In your dependence, my power flows unimpeded. So today, my child, feel the weight of your own soul. Feel the fatigue of trying to hold yourself upright. And then, deliberately, gently, let that weight fall onto me. Lean. Rest. Be still. Open your hands. Whisper my name. This is not passivity. It is the most active reception. It is positioning yourself under the waterfall of grace. The upright vessel may impress for a season, but the leaning vessel will always be full. Assume the posture. The flow is coming. My precious one, now we come to the beautiful rhythm of the vessel's life. A vessel is not meant to be a stagnant cistern, holding water until it grows stale. It is designed for circulation. There is a sacred rhythm, a divine inhalation and exhalation that keeps the water living and the vessel vital. This is the dynamic of receiving and releasing, the in-breath and out-breath of grace. To block either part of this rhythm is to invite spiritual sickness. To live in this rhythm is to know the joy of being a living conduit. Consider your own breath. You do not inhale once and hold it forever, nor do you exhale continuously until you collapse. Life is sustained by the constant unconscious rhythm of taking in and giving out. So it is with my spirit in you. I am not filling you to make you a storage unit of blessings. I am filling you to make you a distribution center of my grace. The flow must have an inlet and an outlet. The purpose of the inlet is the outlet. You are filled to be poured out. The in-breath, the posture of receiving. This is what we have been discussing, the leaning, the openness, the dependency. It is the quiet moment in the morning when you turn your face to me and say, "Fill me today." It is the pause in the chaos when you whisper, "I need your peace." It is the study of my word, not for information, but for transformation, allowing my thoughts to displace yours. It is the worship that shifts your focus from your lack to my abundance. This in-breath is the conscious, intentional opening of the vessel's mouth to the heavenly stream. It is the come to me of Jesus. It is the drink of the water of life, of revelation. Without this, the vessel runs dry, and you will find yourself trying to pour from an empty cup, leading to resentment, burnout, and a harsh, brittle spirit. The mob out-breath, the grace of releasing. This is the natural, spirit-led overflow of what you have received. It is not a forced or manipulated effort. It is the pressure of my love within you seeking expression. It is the kind word that rises unbidden when you've received my compassion. It is the generosity that flows easily when you are secure in my provision. It is the patience you extend because you are resting in my eternal timeline. It is the truth you speak in love because you have been standing in my light. This out-breath is the rivers of living water flowing from within that Jesus promised. It is the "let your light shine before others" of the Sermon on the Mount. The out-breath is the vessel fulfilling its purpose, directing the flow to a specific point of need. The danger lies in interrupting this holy rhythm. If you only inhale, If you only attend to your own spiritual needs, soak in teaching, revel in worship experiences, and focus solely on your own growth, you become spiritually congested. The water becomes stagnant. You may feel full, but also heavy, sluggish, and joyless. This is spiritual self-absorption. The vessel was not made to be a lake. It was made to be a river. If you only exhale, if you are constantly giving, serving, sacrificing, and pouring out without ever returning to the source to be refilled, you will experience spiritual depletion. You will become a dry pipe, scraping and grinding as you try to push through effort what can only flow by grace. This leads to burnout, cynicism, and a ministry that feels like a burden. You cannot give what you do not have. The health of the vessel depends on the balance and rhythm between the two. This is the secret of sustainable, joyful ministry and influence. You must have times of deep, unhurried receiving, the Mary posture at my feet. And you must have times of joyful, obedient releasing, the Martha service done from a heart that has first been filled. Both are worship. Both are essential. How do you practice this rhythm? First, cultivate sensitivity to the inner water level. Learn to heed the Spirit's gentle nudge that says, "Come away and rest." That feeling of inner dryness, irritability, or exhaustion is often not a call to try harder, but a call to come and drink. Likewise, that inner stirring of compassion, that clear prompting to act, that sense of, "I have something to give here," that is the signal to exhale, to release the grace you've been given. Second, establish non-negotiable times of in-breath. These are your daily appointments with me. Your prayer, your scripture reading, your quiet reflection. Guard these times. They are not luxuries. They are your lifeline. They are the opening of the inlet valve. Without them, you are running on yesterday's grace, which is like yesterday's manna. It has spoiled and lost its power. Third, release generously and without fear in the out-breath. When you feel prompted to encourage, to give, to serve, to forgive, do not overanalyze. Do not calculate if you have enough. Trust that if I am prompting the outflow, I have already supplied the inflow. The widow of Zarephath gave her last meal to Elijah, and her jar of flour and jug of oil never ran dry. The rhythm was set. She gave in obedience, out-breath, and I provided continually, in-breath. Give what you have, not what you don't have. Give from the overflow, not from the dregs. Fourth, understand that the out-breath itself often clears the inlet. Sometimes the act of giving generously, of forgiving freely, of stepping out in faith, creates a vacuum in your soul, a holy emptiness that draws in a fresh, powerful in-breath of my Spirit. As you release, you make room for more. This is the dynamic circulation. The more you give, the more you can receive. The more you receive, the more you have to give. It is a virtuous, self-perpetuating cycle of grace. My beloved vessel, your life is to be a breathing being of the Spirit. Inhale my peace, exhale my compassion, inhale my strength, exhale my service, inhale my wisdom, exhale my truth. Do not fear the emptying that comes with giving, for it is only making room for a new, fresh filling. Do not cling to the filling, for it was given to be shared. Today, breathe consciously. Inhale deeply of my presence right now. Hold it for a moment, letting it saturate your inner being. Now, exhale. Release a prayer of blessing over someone. Perform an act of unseen kindness. Offer a word of thanks. Feel the rhythm. This is the dance of the vessel. This is how life flows through you, not in a static pool, but in a mighty moving river. My beloved, we have journeyed through the emptying, the cleansing, the leaning, and the sacred rhythm of circulation. Now we approach the pinnacle of a vessel's purpose, the moment when the vessel itself seems to disappear. This is the mystery of transparency. It is when the clay of your personality, the contours of your history, the color of your gifts become so thin, so clean, so surrendered, that they no longer distort the light passing through. The observer no longer says, "What a beautiful vase," but "What stunning light is pouring from that place." This is the ultimate goal, that they see Him, not you, that they encounter the flow, not the container. You have been trained to build a name, to craft an identity, to become someone. This is not evil in itself, but it is a secondary calling. Your primary calling is to become a clear pane of glass through which my Son is seen. The pane does not draw attention to its own sparkle. It exists to provide an undistorted view of the landscape beyond. When people look at you, my deepest desire is that they glimpse the landscape of my character, my love, my holiness, my mercy, without the smudges of your ego, the cracks of your past, or the tint of your agenda obscuring the view. This transparency is born from a death, the death of the need for credit. The vessel that insists on its own inscription, "Look what I carried, see how beautifully I held this water," remains opaque. It reflects its own surface. But the vessel that has been so thoroughly surrendered, so consistently cleansed, and so joyfully leaned, becomes like crystal. It forgets itself. Its only joy is the unimpeded passage of the light. The Apostle Paul understood this. "I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me." The I, the self-conscious, self-promoting ego, is crucified. What remains is a transparent life for the living Christ to inhabit and radiate through. How do you move towards this holy transparency? First, by ceasing to defend your own reputation. When you are misunderstood, criticized, or overlooked, the instinct of the opaque vessel is to justify, explain, and defend its form. The transparent vessel, secure in my love and approval, can remain silent or speak grace, because its need to be seen as right or good has been surrendered. It trusts me to be its defender. This death to reputation is a monumental step towards clarity. Second, by celebrating when the flow benefits others through you, without your name attached. The true test is when a word you spoke in private is shared by another as their own insight, and it brings healing. When a prayer you prayed in secret bears fruit in someone's life, and they thank God alone. When your unseen labor makes someone else's public ministry possible, the transparent vessel rejoices. It whispers, "The water worked, the light got through. It doesn't matter that my name is on the label." This is the joy of the friend of the bridegroom, who rejoices greatly at the bridegroom's voice, content to stand and hear him. Third, by allowing my character to gradually replace your instincts. Your natural instincts are self-protection, self-promotion, and self-preservation. My character flowing through you produces love, humility, and sacrificial joy. As you abide, the flow slowly erodes the rocky outcroppings of your old nature and deposits the fertile soil of my nature. Your first thought becomes less, "What about me?" and more, "What would love do here?" Your reactions become less reflexive and more reflective of my heart. You become less reactive and more responsive to my spirit. This is the process of becoming conformed to the image of my Son, and conformity to His image is the very essence of transparency, for He is the perfect image of the invisible God. This does not annihilate your unique personality. It sanctifies it. Your humor becomes a vehicle for joy, not mockery. Your intelligence becomes a channel for wisdom, not arrogance. Your strength becomes a conduit for protection, not domination. Your personality becomes a unique, beautiful frame for the masterpiece of Christ within you. The frame does not compete with the painting, it complements it and directs attention to it. The transparent vessel is the most powerful vessel of all, for it exercises no power of its own. It simply lets the full, unfiltered power of God pass through. It is the lens that focuses the sun's rays into a fire starting point. The lens claims no credit for the fire. It simply knows its position and stays clean. My child, this may feel like a loss. The ego will grieve its visibility, but I promise you, in this loss, you will find a profound, unshakable peace. The exhausting labor of maintaining an image, of managing perceptions, of keeping your name relevant, it all ceases. You are free to be simply a window, a clear, clean, open space where heaven touches earth. When you are transparent, you become a place of true encounter. People will leave your presence feeling strangely uplifted, hopeful, or convicted, yet unable to quote a profound thing you said. They will say, "I feel closer to God when I'm with you." They will not be drawn to you. They will be drawn to Him in you. This is the highest compliment a vessel can receive. So today, ask for this grace. Pray, Lord, make me transparent. Erase the inscriptions of my pride. Wipe away the smudges of my neediness. Polish me with the hardships and joys of life until all that is seen is you. Let me decrease, that you may increase. Let me become invisible, so that you become unmistakable. It is a lifelong process, but every act of surrender, every choice of humility, every decision to credit me, is a polishing of the pain. And one day, you will shine with a clarity that is not your own, and the world will see straight through you to me, my precious one. We have come to the final and most glorious truth of your being. You are not a generic container, mass-produced and without distinction. You are a uniquely crafted, irreplaceable vessel, designed with a specific, eternal assignment in mind. Your shape, your size, your very cracks and contours are not accidents or flaws to be hidden. They are the intentional design of the master potter, forming you to carry and direct my flow to a particular time, a particular place, and particular souls that only you can reach. You are contained, limited, specific, finite, for a purpose that is infinite. From eternity past, I saw you. I saw the landscape of human history and the precise moment I would place you within it. I saw the dry ground that would need your particular kind of water. I saw the darkened rooms that would need your specific angle of light. And so, I began to shape you accordingly. Every experience, the joys that widened your capacity for love, the sorrows that carved deep reservoirs of compassion, the challenges that tempered your strength, the relationships that smoothed your rough edges, has been part of this shaping. You are not a random jar. You are a commissioned chalice, a strategic amphora, a chosen vial holding a unique medicine for a world in pain. Your shape determines your assignment. A broad, shallow bowl is meant to catch rain and provide quick refreshment to many. A long, narrow funnel is designed to direct a concentrated stream to a precise point. A sturdy, lidded flask is created to carry precious oil on a long, rugged journey. What is your shape? Perhaps you are a bowl of encouragement, meant to gather grace and offer it freely to the weary souls who cross your path. Perhaps you are a funnel of intercession, designed to channel heaven's power onto a specific family, nation, or sphere of influence. Perhaps you are a flask of perseverance, meant to carry hope into desolate places over the long haul. Your shape is your calling. Do not envy another's shape. You cannot fulfill their assignment, and they cannot fulfill yours. Even your cracks, those places of past brokenness you strive to hide, are part of the design. In my kingdom, brokenness is not disqualification. It is often the very means of distribution. A perfectly sealed vessel holds water, but it cannot let it out without being tipped. But a vessel with intentional hairline cracks sealed with the gold of my grace in the Japanese art of kintsugi, seeps slowly, constantly, cooling and nourishing the roots of those it touches simply by being present. Your testimony of healed brokenness is not a flaw. It is a network of irrigation channels. Your weaknesses are not hindrances to my flow. They are the points where my strength leaks out most clearly, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Your placement is equally intentional. You are not adrift on a chaotic sea. You are set upon a specific shelf, in a specific room, in a specific house. Your family, your workplace, your community, your sphere of influence. This is your assigned post. You may look at your seemingly ordinary location and think, surely, Lord, you could use me more effectively somewhere more grand, more spiritual, more visible. But I tell you, the most strategic vessels are often placed in the most unseen corners. A small lamp in a dark closet is more vital than a chandelier in a sunlit ballroom. Your assignment is to let my flow reach the exact spot where I have placed you. Bloom where you are planted, for I have determined the exact times and places where you should live, so that men would seek me and find me through you. This understanding transforms your daily life. The mundane is the mission field. The difficult person in your life is not an obstacle. They are part of your assignment. The recurring challenge is not a trap. It is the terrain you were shaped to navigate. You are not waiting for a purpose. You are living within it at this very moment. Your purpose is not a destination to reach, but a reality to walk in. To be my vessel, here and now, pouring out whatever I have poured in, to whoever is before you. And remember, the assignment is eternal. The water you carry is living water. The light you transmit is the light of the world. The love you spill is the very love that will outlast the universe. The souls you touch with my flow are eternal beings. Your vessel may be earthly and temporary, but the impact of your assignment echoes in eternity. Every act of obedience as my vessel is writing a line in a story that will be told forever. You are building with gold, silver, and precious stones. So, my beloved, specific assigned vessel, how do you live this out? First, accept your design with gratitude. Thank me for your shape, for your personality, your history, your passions, and even your limitations. They are your custom-fitted assignment parameters. Do not resent them. Surrender them to me for holy use. Second, seek clarity on your current assignment. Ask me daily, Lord, how would you use this vessel today? To whom would you have me extend your grace? Where would you have me stand as a conduit of your presence? Listen for the gentle nudges. The assignment is often simple. Encourage that one. Pray for this situation. Stand in integrity in that moment. Share what you have. Third, trust the potter's hands completely. If I need to reshape you for a new season of assignment, it will involve pressure, the wheel, the fire. It may be painful, but trust that I am only ever shaping you to hold more of me and to reach more of the world with my love. Your transformation is for your increase and my glory. Fourth, pour out freely and without reserve. Do not hoard the flow. You are not the source, you are the conduit. As you give, I will replenish. Your emptiness is my opportunity. Your willingness is my delight. You are my masterpiece created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which I prepared in advance for you to do. You are the vessel. I am the living water. Together, we fulfill an eternal purpose. Go now, my unique and cherished vessel. Carry my life. Fulfill your assignment. The world is waiting for the flow that only you, as I have shaped you, can bring. Amen.